So we kick off open conversation on this note. Femi Falana calls it political prostitution and calls it immorality. But does that not also now infringe on the rights of these people as human beings, first of all, freedom of association, freedom of choice?
Thank you very much. That's a reasonable question, but we have to recognize that what becomes our rights as individuals and citizens are predicated on what the Constitution says are our rights and our privileges. So in this particular case, of course, I was talking with someone yesterday, and before even the legal luminary made his opinion public, I had said that was, a very dangerous political step. And I tagged the 27 members who had left as political immigrants, and they were simply on what I call the Bermuda Triangle, a journey of no return. Now, the section 109 1G of the Constitution, which they relied on, was explicit, and it clearly says that, I may not be quoting in verbatim, but summary says that if you must defect to another political party, it must be on the basis that there is a divide in your own political party. And I have said that as of today, it is not known to the law, it is not known to the public that there is crisis in the People's Democratic Party. Because if there is crisis in a political party, it will affect the state working committee of the party as well as the national working committee of the party. There's going to be a faction. You're going to see, okay, a faction of the state working committee who is loyal to the governor or some to the minister, as it were. But in this case, there is no divide. The structure is intact. Nobody had complained that we have problem in the PDP in Rivers State. The governor of Rivers State has not said so. The minister had not said so. The party chairman had not said so. Neither have the members of the State Assembly complained that there is a problem within the PDP. But I have also told people that the problem that we have clearly in Rivers State is an arm of government against another arm of government. It's simply the House of Assembly against the executive. That is what it is. It is not a political party issue. It's not this member of this ward against this ward, or the state working committee of this faction against this faction. So the party is peaceful, which is a platform. So the Constitution says unless there is a divide within the party, and in this case there's no divide. I have listened to the 27 assembly members, and the reasons they gave for their defection does not have anything to do with the political party platform as PDP. The complaint is that, okay, the governor has refused them funding. That is not a political party issue. It's clearly a legislative arm of government and executive's problem. They have said, okay, the former majority leader, who is now a speaker as confirmed by the court injunction, did something wrong and they want to remove him. It has nothing to do with the party. It is a hierarchical problem within the arm of government, not as a political party. So the basis for defection is not in consonance with what the Constitution says. So I was surprised that even the then speaker, the former speaker, and a former member, I must say, a former member of the Rivers State House of Assembly, because their seats have been declared vacant by the speaker. The former member, who was a former speaker, quoted this same Constitution, this section of the Constitution, as basis for their defection. And it is explicit that there must be a divide in the political party, which is not.
No, they also, it's worthy of note that they also mentioned issues with the party national secretary, and they said it had made it had made communication, as it were, a little bit difficult and confusing in the party structure.
That is ridiculous. Now, where political party structure is simple and straightforward. You have a national secretary, you have assistant national secretary. If the national secretary is not on seat, communications go to the assistant national secretary of the party. So, and even come to think of, how does that affect Rivers State House of Assembly? How? Now, did they go to, before matters proceed to the National Working Committee, it has to move from the State Working Committee. So, these assembly members claiming there's a problem, did they go to the State Working Committee? I have listened to the chairman of the party, the acting chairman, Mr. Aaron, and he has said, look, There is no problem within our party. The only thing you're seeing are people, he called them children. He said they are children on social media trying to, incite quarrel where there's none.
All right.
So clearly there is no basis for what they've done. And secondly, permit me, before the courts, because this is what forms the substantial evidence.
Right.
Before the courts, what brought these two factions to the courts? The factional speaker Edison and the one who was there, Martin Samewule. There is nothing about political party in their filing.
Right.
None at all.
Right.
And that formed the basis for which Edison was declared speaker. Nothing traceable to political party. Rather, it was an internal issue in an arm of government.
Right.
All right. So
I agree with Falana.
So, lack of sound legal advice. One would wonder. Majority of these 25 individuals are lawyers by training and by profession to a large extent. The minister for whom they are loyal to, the minister of the FCT, is a lawyer and has had these court issues like all through his tenure as governor and prior to that time. So when Falana say lack of sound legal advice, we learned that two ladies, I think two females, I believe, Honorable Linda Sumiari and another one, I think Yanla, that's the name that was given to us, that both of them returned at allegedly decamping back to the PDP. Okay, so here is it. We go look at lack of sound legal advice. Honorable Linda, for instance, has been in the house for long years as an assembly member. There are just one or two of them. I don't even know if there's any amongst them that hasn't been in the corridors of power as a lawmaker and understands how these things work. So when Falana said they lack sound legal advice, in my head I'm wondering, can we really say this is sound legal advice, or people figuring out that there are no consequences for action, so we can continue to act in impunity?
Well, when you talked about a broad majority of them being lawyers, I would want to put it this way. Some of them are just lawyers by certificate.
But they studied law in school.
Yes, they studied law
in school.
So
they know the operations of the Constitution.
It doesn't mean they know entirely what the Constitution says, but it's expected that they should know about what the Constitution says about certain decisions they want to take. Because they are lawmakers, they are the ones who make law. So it is assumed that every step, whether you are a lawyer by training or not, as a member of the assembly, if you want to take a step, you must consult the Constitution. Just the way a pastor, if you want to preach, you must consult the Bible. So the Constitution is like the Bible for the lawmaker and the politician. You must consult. So, but you wouldn't say they didn't consult, they did. But I think they are entrapped in a kind of hasty political decision. They are entrapped because it looks as though there is some kind of pressure for them to move to the ruling APC so that they can have some kind of advantage in the kind of political things they want to do.
And you don't think that this is because we are in a country where people can actually act in impunity because there are no consequences?
No doubt, there are no arguments about it. The level of impunity.
Because how do you explain that 25%, none of them could say, hey, this is not what the law says. Remember that whoever advised them is irrespective here, because I'm the lawmaker, for instance.
Whoever is advising, whoever is pressurizing.
But it doesn't even matter, because at the end of the day, I'm the lawmaker. I'm the one who is going to be out of office. I'm the one who is going to bear the consequences of whatever action that I have agreed to take. So you mean that there is no way these 25 persons looked at section 109, subsection G, to say, hey, this is not what the law says. I know some of them there with who are sound minds. Like, you mean that they didn't take cognizance of that? There is lack of sound legal advice, and not the privilege of acting in impunity without consequences.
They probably would have, but people, just like you said, the level of impunity in the country is unimaginable, and people have this perception. First, there's a level of sycophancy in politics that people call loyalty. Even when something is going against your well-being, because you want to prove yourself to be loyal, and then you think that the so-called godfather you are loyal to has the political reach, to do anything and obtain anything. So You know, despite what the provision of the Constitution says, they had to go ahead because that's an instruction from our principal, and they feel that our principal has it all settled. He can sort it out. So, you know, it speaks to the level of impunity. It speaks to the level of psychophancy in our political space, and that is not a good one at all, because you can imagine that if people who are elected to make laws would make this kind of a blunder, you know, then you imagine what would be happening, you know, to other sectors of society. These are lawmakers. They are paid to make laws. They are paid to have oversight over the executives in compliance with the laws. And they are, number one, the lawbreakers. So it tells you the kind of country we're in.